Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic X Shadow Generations, while we're still playing through the remastered version of Sonic Generations for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and of course, not only Nintendo Switch, but same applies with Nintendo Switch 2, thanks to the backwards compatibility has been confirmed. So, last time, we essentially did manage to take on the final boss in Sonic Generations remastered version, and so much so, we did somehow beat the likes of the forms of the Time Eater. Not just once, by the way, but twice as well, both on normal mode and on hard mode. So yeah, everything else checks out there. So, suffice to say, is about the fact that today... Okay, quick error right there, sorry about that folks, because I forgot to do something off screen, by the way. Anyway, as I was saying, is about the fact that today for this video, if you couldn't tell already, we're about to be showing you guys some last few bits of extras for the likes of Sonic Generations Remaster, just before we move on to the biggest highlights of this entire package, that's of course, Shadow Generations. So hopefully that will happen, probably at some point until tomorrow and beyond, so as a result, first off, we just want to show you guys the forms of the Supersonic skill by simply trying to beat the likes of the forms of Time Eater for the first time. And basically though, similar to the forms of how it does in the original version of Sonic Generations on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 and PC as well. Basically though, you still need to be able to equip that in your skill tree, and so much so, once you do manage to be able to equip the skill, obviously though, as soon as you dive right into the specific stages as far as I'm aware, basically though, we still need to be able to try to collect 50 rings, and then once you've done so, then you obviously turn into Supersonic, either Classic Sonic or Modern Sonic in particular. Now, as you can definitely tell on screen, I've decided able to go back on changing Classic Sonic into Sonic Jam skin. So as a result though, there's one thing I totally forgot to mention about this ever since around a couple of days ago actually. Recently, out of nowhere, that Sega has just confirmed about the fact that it's now possible they can now able to actually download Sonic Jam skin for Sonic Generations Remaster for free, so as a result we don't need to necessarily try to worry about early access when it comes to newsletter subscription. So as a result though, yeah, it seems pretty cool to me, especially concerning for the fact I've recently managed able to download that, not only for the Xbox One system, but alongside with the Nintendo Switch versions as well. So naturally speaking, I was about the fact I can now able to experience the actual cosmetic skin anywhere I go for the Nintendo Switch version, and I could also apply for the forms of the PC version as well, at least as far as I do notice about this. Well, mind you about the fact that, again, it's been a very awfully long while since we actually uploaded something recently. So because of that though, because then again, I do apologize for that particular lack of absence for the likes of last week or so, just because you know what I mean with the stupid illness. But I promise you guys, this will be the final time to able to mention something like this, especially concerning for the fact that there's a lot of stuff I would like to point out when it comes to discussions alike. Probably at some point once we make our way to Shadow Generations at some point. So anyway, so I'm pretty sure we're getting very close to 50 rings count. So as a result, yeah, as you can definitely tell, that we're actually going to be choosing Speed Highway this time, because I can assure you that unlike in the previous Let's Play of Sonic Generations back in the day, that we attempt able to actually select Green Hill Zone as far as I'm aware. So either way, so yeah, as you can see, since that we somehow collected 50 rings, the actual Chaos Emerald icons has now appeared on that particular skill button, as far as you can definitely tell. And basically though, that you're able to become Supersonic, and still it just feels a bit underwhelming. And as far as I'm aware, Classic Supersonic just gives you invincibility frames with no added speed or jump height. And as far as Modern Sonic, as far as I'm concerned, well, I'll show more about that once we're able to choose a different stage, because as you can definitely tell, that today's day is of course the forms of the 28th of January today, in some cases in 2025 today, and so much so for the fact that I've recently managed able to pick up quite a number of things today. Like, for instance, though, is about the fact that recently I finally managed able to get myself my brand new film DVD, and then as a result, I've somehow managed to finally got The Wild Robot, which I've still heard is actually really, really good. What I've noticed so far, especially concerning for the fact that not only does The Wild Robot, but also with the films of Inside Out 2 and Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, have 3 of those films have made it to the Oscars 2025. So as a result, specifically when it comes to nominations so far. So yeah, that's actually pretty awesome to me, especially concerning for the fact that obviously though, I'm very curious to know what is the actual true winner of the Best Animated Film in terms of the Oscar nomination awards. So as a result, yeah, kind of think about it though, it's about the fact that it's nice to see Wallace and Gromit decided able to actually join in the Oscars once again, ever since In a Matter of Love and Death. So either way though, that's saying something. So anyway, and as you can tell, I immediately got back into the White Space Hub World quickly because I forgot able to, you know, equip the actual supersonic skill, and also we definitely need to equip set B for that particular, well, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, speaking of which though, it's about the fact that I also did somehow realize that we somehow managed able to also got this very cool accessory of ours, and that's what appears to be the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Heart Container Light. And oh my goodness, whenever I felt it, it just looks so awesome, especially concerning for the fact that obviously this is obviously based off not only for the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but alongside with the forms of Breath of the Wild as well, just because the actual in-game's engine runs the exactly identical between each other when it comes to both the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm very happy about the fact that I somehow managed to finally get something related to the Legend of Zelda once again, in regards to the forms of the, you know, accessories based off of the in-game items, ranging from Heart Container, Light, and on top of that, the Master Sword and the actual Hireling Shield. I mean, I suppose, what's next? I mean, I could have wished about the fact that they're trying to able to bring us into, let's say, Stamina Vessel Light, like they did the same thing for the sake of the Falls of Heart Container Light as what it already came up to be. Well, time will tell though, especially concerning for the fact that obviously if you couldn't tell, there are some other things I would like to point out right away. And that's what appears to be for the fact that, well, conveniently enough though, is about the fact that I did somehow manage able to find out the actual code name for Nintendo Switch 2. The actual code name for Nintendo Switch 2 was actually called OUTS, which I'm not exactly sure why they call it that, but I digress. Whilst meanwhile, in the forms of a Nintendo Switch, obviously the code name for the system was not only NX, but same applies with the forms of HAC for the likes of Nintendo code names. But as far as I'm aware, compared to the forms of how it does it for other code names, which is by the forms of Obian or Odin to be more specifically. So either way though, I just want to classify for mention about that particular stuff. So, but I digress. So as you can see, we've now turned into modern Supersonic right here, and basically those about the fact that every time if you do manage to boost while in midair, or in some cases on the ground, I'm pretty sure your rings counter will able to actually decrease for about 10 frames per second or something like that. Although, don't get me wrong though, it is nice for its little additional item or additional skill you might able to actually consider unlocking. But at the end of the day though, it just feels a bit underwhelming when it comes to likely turning into Supersonic in this game, especially concerning for the fact that unlike in Sonic Colors, that you can able to actually play as Supersonic at any stages whatever you wanted to. To be more accurate though, not only for the Wii version, but every nowadays with the Ultimate version. So yeah, you get the idea for this point. So anyway, so yeah, that's all I can really say about the forms of Supersonic skill unlockable for the remastered version of Sonic Generations. I mean, it's basically exactly the same thing as the forms of how it does in the original version, so yeah, nothing right to hum about. And usually, relatively speaking though, much like the forms of how it does in one of those skills for classic Sonic, which appears to be the homing attack, it actually costs about 100 skill points. So, and also as far as I'm aware, as you can definitely tell about the fact that if you do manage able to equip not only the Sonic Adventure skin, but alongside with the Sonic Jam skin as well. Nothing really changes around here, aside from the fact that we can still able to turn into regular forms of classic Supersonic and you know, modern Supersonic, so, but I digress. So the next thing we're about to show off to you guys is the majority of the time, the collection room. Now basically though, similar to the forms of how it does in the original version of Sonic Generations, you can still able to actually rewatch the cutscenes for movies, alongside with taking a look at the forms of concept arts, alongside with the forms of trying checking out music to listen to, and on top of all that stuff though, character illustrations as well. But there's actually a new feature in this remastered version of the game, that's what appears to be the Chao Rescue. Now, we've already seen this briefly, but as you probably already expect, that the reason why we came here for about a couple of parts ago, because as you can definitely see on screen, if you do manage to able to try to find a certain amount of Chao, not only does it show us the actual preview image, but also, get this, is about the fact that it actually tells you the actual description where the certain Chaos was going to be located. So if you do have any troubles with the forms of trying to find those specific Chaos in this particular remastered version of the game, well, by all means, you can able to actually look upon the actual description if you can tell on the bottom portion of that particular image. So yeah, that seems pretty something, I suppose. And also, what I found is very fascinating about the forms of trying to find a specific Chaos worth noting for is that obviously though, certain amount of Chaos were actually based off from not only from Sonic Adventure, but also Sonic Adventure 2 as well, because you can definitely tell there are certain recognizable Chaos from the likes of Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2, likely for instance with the Hero Chao, Dark Chao, and Sonic Chao, Tails Chao, and Amy Chao, and vice versa though really. And it seems pretty cool though, despite the fact that there's no such thing as Chao Garden these days. Although, the last time we actually heard about something related to Chao Garden was technically Sega Superstars for the PlayStation 2, despite the fact that you had to utilize with the iToy camera back in the day, in 2004. So yeah, that's sure it's that thing, so... And also, like I said before, there's actually some concept art you can able to actually look up on it, especially concerning for the fact that, like I stated before, ever since around a couple of parts ago, obviously though, in order to able to unlock concept arts alongside with the forms of some musical tracks and stuff like that, you not only you do need to able to try to find every single red star rings, but also you need to able to keep on obtaining those music notes. Like for instance, if you do manage to able to obtain the blue music notes, it actually gives you a concept art. Whilst, unlike the forms of how it does on the gold variant, it actually gives you some more music. So as a result, by doing so, is that you have to, you know, activate the bells every time if you do manage to complete the challenge acts in particular. So yeah, several of concept arts in this game in particular does look very fascinating to say the least. Especially it does show us the forms of sketches, and alongside with the forms of some very cool images here and there. And to top of all that stuff though is about the fact it is nice to see all of those cool illustrations here and there. So and meanwhile, when it comes to the forms of any other stuff, I would like to point things out for the sake of time, that I'm gonna say, I still really do enjoy Sonic Generations as a result, not only for the original version, but same applies with the remastered version as well. Although I did have some, a little bit of nitpicking issues I have with this remastered version of the game in particular, which I suppose we should probably save that particular topic for later, once we do manage to show us the forms of, or should I say, about to try to show you guys the forms of the final thing we want to show off, and that's what appears to be, out of nowhere, the statue room, which, unlike the forms of how it does in the original version of the game, in order to able to actually activate the statue room, you have to hold down not only the back button for the Xbox 360 version, but alongside with the forms of the select button on the PlayStation 3 version, and if you hold it long enough, basically though, you can able to actually activate the, well, in some cases, transports you to the statue room. And obviously though, it's about the fact that, again, we'll save that particular discussion until for later. So yeah, you get the idea for this point. So although I will still say is about the fact I feel like the story in Sonic Generations, it still feels a bit remains the same. Like it still is not that great, especially concerning for the fact that obviously though is about the fact it just feels a bit, well, a little bit underwhelming in terms of storytelling. Well, because usually, relatively speaking, that's as far as I can try to explain about the forms of, one of those negative aspects of Sonic Generations, well, that was the only negative thing I can probably think about the entire game itself, actually. So, as a result, there's nothing else I can really say, apart from the fact that I still managed to really enjoy, you know, Sonic Generations every now and then, especially concerning for all that a lot of replay value comes to play, with not only with speedruns, but alongside with the forms of some other stuff worth noting for, like, if you're missing out on something, then obviously you can go back onto any other stages at any time, when it comes to not only trying to find those red star rings, but same applies with those specific chows you can't able to find this time around, and so much so, also, the amount of skills you can able to equip, it's so many skills to choose from, and relatively speaking, yeah, this game definitely deserves its replay value, not only for the original version, but nowadays with the remastered version nowadays. So either way though, and so much so for the fact that there's also another thing else you might able to realize, that unlike the defaults of how it does in the original version of Sonic Generations, there's technically two options for the sake of the online mode, which appears to be not only the 30-second trial, but alongside with the forms of ranked attack as well. And basically though, unfortunately though, the remastered version decides able to dump down the actual online mode, which as a result, there's only one mode you can only try out, and that's what appears to be ranked match, or to be more specifically, ranked attack, and so much so, there's no way you can able to actually play the 30-second trial now, which as a result though, is kind of sad, honestly, because I already know for the fact that there's one of those achievements you do get in the original version, and that is what appears to be you can able to participating on the 30-second trial, which basically, depending on what stage you go into, basically though you do have 30-second time limit, and the more you've gone further, it actually decides able to declare your ranked results in the actual online functionality. So yeah, that's as far as I could try to able to describe about that. So anyway, so next up we're about to show you guys is the music selection. Now like I said before, it's about the fact that the Wostopolis music was now added to this particular remastered version of the game, because unlike the original version, that one of the music tracks was included, which appears to be a musical track based off from Sonic Rush, which appears to be based off of the level, which appears to be Leaf Storm, and the actual song was called Right There, Right On. So as a result, the reason why that particular music is now being replaced, because of the involves of some illegal licensing issues. So anyway, the next thing we're about to show off, and that's what appears to be the character's option. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is basically unchanged, apart from a few exceptions here and there, and that's mainly because of the involves of how the fact that since the original game did originally came out in 2011, and you do realize about the fact that one of those characters in particular does have a different description when it comes to one of those specific parts and stuff. Although you can still able to actually see character models for the likes of not only with Sonic, but alongside with Tails, Knuckles, Amy, etc., as well as the classic variants of not only with Sonic, but with Tails and Dr. Eggman as well, or should I say Dr. Robotnik, or for that matter, nobody calls me that anymore, but I digress. So, relatively speaking out, it's about the fact that as soon as we're able to actually check out Amy's description right here, you do realize her description is a lot different this time, because it did somehow now mentions fortune cards, which obviously does manage to take place, likely also after the releases of not only with Sonic Origins, but alongside with the forms of Sonic Frontiers as well. Again, probably because the forms of Ian Flynn's involvement with the actual writing of you know, the remastered version of Sonic Generations for that matter. So yeah, I can totally see why about the fact that the actual description for Amy is now basically changed. Although, despite the fact that the actual character models remains the same as the forms of how it does in the original version, and as me right here with all glorious more than any ever will be. Although, despite the fact that, well, unfortunately though, due to Sonic 06's retconning story, that I'm not exactly as popular these days, which I'm not exactly sure how do I describe about that. And there's my love interest, Blaze the Cat, which you definitely already know this from this point. So, anyways though, there's also another thing else I would like to mention about this before we show us the last thing we want to see. That's what appears to be the statue room. Unfortunately though, Sony has just been cancelled one of those projects, which appears to be a live service God of War game, and as a result, I have nothing else to say, of why that particular live service game of God of War has been cancelled by Sony itself. And it's also worth noting for too is about the fact that out of nowhere as well, Plankton the movie is about to be releasing on Netflix and during at some point on March 7th. So as a result, it's gonna be most likely on, I would say Saturday or something like that. At least when I double check on the actual calendar or something like that. So, relatively speaking, everything else will be, actually no way, it was actually on Friday actually, because I keep on thinking about sometime in June for this year. So, yeah, you get the idea for this point. And it's also very weird about the fact that Metal Sonic was still in classic form, and we still have not yet to be seen modern Metal Sonic around here. So, I suppose beggars can't be choosers, I guess. So, as you can see, if you manage to press that specific button, either the, well, let's just say the touchpad on the PS4 version, and same applies with the PS5 version as well with the DualSense. And meanwhile, when it comes to other versions, like one of those buttons for the Xbox controllers and the minus button for the Switch version, as you can see, we're now able to actually access the statue room immediately rather than just trying to able to hold down the button for a few seconds. And as you can see, all those statues are already there from the get-go. So back in the day, in 2011, you can't able to actually input the codes in, and then as soon as you're able to input the codes correctly, you can get one of those statues, and as a result, you can't able to actually look at them. And I do love the fact that when it comes to certain characters, as you can tell, they do have these specific identical poses from other Sonic games. Like, for instance though, Amy's pose is obviously based off from Sonic Advance 1, and Cream the Rabbit with cheese is obviously based off from Sonic Advance 3 pose. And Rouge the Bat's pose was obviously based off from Sonic Adventure 2, but now in 3D rather than 2D illustration. So yeah, possibilities were endless you can probably think about in terms of references from other Sonic games when it comes to poses alike, especially concerning for the fact that, like we've already established that before, Sonic Generations is a massive love letter for Sonic fans alike. Not only for 2011, but also with 2024 nowadays with the remastered version, despite, you know, questionable choices here and there, with the writing scripts is a bit different and stuff like that. So yeah, you get the idea for this point. And alongside with those amazing figurines you can able to look upon, obviously those about the fact you can also check out these familiar other characters as well from any other Sonic games as well. Like for instance, we see Jet the Hawk from the likes of Sonic Riders, alongside with Chip from the likes of Sonic Unleashed, despite the fact that he did manage to sacrifice himself after dealing with the forms of Dark Gaia. So yeah, you get the idea for this point. So as a result, yeah, it's a long stretch if you do manage to try to, you know, look upon any other figurines for that matter. So yeah, pretty cool bonus as a result. And I suppose the final thing I want to point out right away is that, unfortunately though, one of those features has been removed from the remastered version of the game. That's what it appears to be in this particular spot right here. Basically, back in the day, in 2011, you can able to actually play a playable game of Sonic the Hedgehog, released in 1991 for the Sega Mega Drive for Sonic Generations. So yeah, it looks like the playable Sonic the Hedgehog game on a remastered version of Sonic Generations is no longer available. Probably because at this point in time, we've got so many re-releases of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 nowadays. Not only with Sega Ages for the Nintendo Switch, but alongside with multiple compilations these days. Especially concerning that we also managed to get ourselves the Sega Mega Drive Classics compilations nowadays as well, back in 2018 for some time, within PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, as well as PC versions as well. So yeah, you get the idea for this point. So yeah, that's as far as we can able to show you guys in terms of several extras of how this particular version of the game actually has to offer. So as a result, Sonic Generations Remastered version has officially been completed by then. So kudos to that, especially it's almost concerning for the fact that I will promise you guys I'll try to get that particular tough achievement on my spare own time. So with that being said, folks, is that we'll have to save the game, and so much so we got the endings of this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic X Shadow Generations. Is that, well, we're about to be able to jump into the next game of this entire package, and probably the most exciting one out of the bunch. That's what appears to be Shadow Generations. So yes, we're about to be getting into Shadow Generations now. So yeah, this will be exciting. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.